Hi, it's been a minute. I've been really wanting to make a video. I do feel like I have something after work every single day, so it's been really hard to even put myself in the mindset of what I want to record next. And I just got home from physical therapy and I was like, I'm just gonna make a video. I probably should think about what I want to say first, but I'm just opening my therapist journal and figured I would fill the void and silence from there. So I think it's important to understand that I am not you and I am not your child, but this is my personal experience with anxiety, getting to where I am now, and kind of just how to look back as an adult and realize how bad I always did have it, but just didn't really know that that was what it was. So January 3rd, I made an entire list of any time I could just think off the top of my head that I had a paralysis panic attack. So it's not just a panic attack, it is when I physically cannot move, I'm on the ground, super embarrassing, and yeah, I've talked about it in my other videos, but I lose vision, or I have to throw up, or I have to use the bathroom at the same time. I get really, really, really pale, and it just feels like there's no blood flow. And every single time you just think I'm going to die. And it doesn't matter how many times you have them because the intensity is just wild. Not something you can explain. So, my first memory is being at a Renaissance fair, and I was 6 years old, and my symptoms were waiting online, it was crowded, hot, and I wanted food, and I remember I always need to go to the ground. I'm not really sure why. I heard that bending my knees often helps the blood flow, but it was the first time I was just absolutely cannot stand, and my face turns. My mom says white as a ghost, and it's really hard to communicate anything because I'm kind of just trying not to lose consciousness, even though I'm in and out of consciousness. So that was my first memory. I did go see a Reiki specialist, and I'm not sure the accuracy, but she did not know why I was going to see her. She just says she feels energy, and she said that she can tell I had a lot of anxiety, and she was telling me that my first panic attack, I was 2 or 3 years old, and it was at a outside party, a birthday party kind of thing, and that I didn't feel good, and the only thing that comforted me was a cat, which I don't remember at all. And I did have cats when I was really young, and animals today are the number one thing that I relate to in this world, so it was a little interesting to hear. I will talk more about the Reiki experience. My dogs always cry when I'm sitting at the table. So, Lupe, do you want to come here? Come here. No. Okay, so my next memory, again, I don't know if these are in order. There's probably been some that happened in between, but when I was told, write down when you have panic attacks, this is what came to my mind. I was 12 years old, and I was going to see one of my emo bands, and I was having a lot of fun. I was at the Chance in Poughkeepsie, and okay, you're really distracting. So I remember being pumped. I think I saw We the Kings, and I was going to concerts a lot then, which shows me that I can be in crowded situations. I can be shoulder to shoulder, and it does not mean that I'm going to have a panic attack. But my mom left me there with my neighbor, and she was local, and I remember my neighbor went to the bathroom, and I was waiting for him, and I just remember waking up on the floor. And I remember, like, not thinking that, like, I didn't have the inner monologue of, like, I don't feel good. It was really hot in there. It was really crowded. And I just kind of woke up, and this stranger was like, come on, honey, like, you fainted. Like, you have to get off the floor. But that sleep was the best sleep I ever, like, could dream of. It was the most relaxing place wherever I was. And I know that my body had too much, and I genuinely did not want to get up. Like, I wanted to go back to wherever realm I just was. And I fell backwards. I didn't have any head pain. I didn't know that I was going to fall. There was no warning sign. So I definitely fainted and skipped the whole panic attack episode. Because every panic attack episode feels like I'm about to faint. And sometimes I wish I would just faint. Because it is torture. Like, feeling like you're going to faint for so long. Another time was just like a day setting up Halloween stuff with my dad and my brother. Don't remember much about it. I just remember saying, like, I feel really weak because, again, I talked about this in my other videos. Like, as a child, I don't have the language to describe. Even at 30, I really barely have the language to describe what it feels like. Because it is so torturous and feels like you're dying, can mean so many different feelings. But I'm pretty good at articulating, and I don't know how to explain it. I remember, like, fighting one when I was in 5th grade, and this is interesting when it comes to, like, my love life, because, like, anytime I go for a first date, I'd be, like, sick to my stomach for days if it was planned, and I'd be so nervous to meet someone, which, like, I found FaceTiming first really helps, but then I'd be, like, about to throw up before the FaceTime, and it's, like, it sounds ridiculous. Like, literally, if you don't like the person, hang up. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but I know those things. It's just that I get physically sick. So there's a difference between, like, knowing and what your body is, like, tricking you to believe, I guess. I, again, don't really know how to explain it. But I was in 5th grade, and this boy that I was really close friends with, he put a note on my desk. And we would pass notes in 5th grade all the time. I'm so sorry to my teacher. And I didn't think anything of it, and, like, it was on my desk for a little bit. And then I read it, and I remember what I was wearing and everything, and it was like, will you go out with me? And when I tell you, like, my heart was just like, and I didn't like boys. Like, I don't know, I never liked boys until, like, 7th grade, so I was just in shock. I felt like I was going to faint. And I didn't know what to do. Like, I was just feeling like this overwhelming feeling. Hold on. There's no food in there. Okay. So I just remember this overwhelming feeling of, like, I hate this feeling. Like, I don't know if I was like, how do I tell him no? He's one of my good friends, and I don't like him like that. But it just was, I was fighting to stay in that chair and not faint. So that's something, and I didn't faint, so I don't remember much, but I remember that. My biggest event was the Today Show with my mom. So we woke up early, and she won, like, free tickets. She loves Journey, and we got to see Journey, and I was so excited that she brought me. So I was going at, like, 4:30 in the morning, and then, it's the Today Show. Like, you got to be there early, drive to the city. I didn't really eat much, and we waited online for a long time, and I was fine. And then, like, when Journey came out, it's just this overwhelming blood drop comes over me, and in my head I'm like, it's happening. It's happening right now. And I go to the floor, and it's not an option. I have to go to the floor. And I remember people around me, like, I was like, Mom, like, it's happening. Like I'm going down. And I felt so bad because, like, she loves Journey so much. And this person behind me was, like, it feels like I need, like, food, sugar. So this is why I always thought that it was related to my blood sugar. Like, I always thought, like, this is not my head. This is my physical body having something wrong. I'm either, like, anemic or diabetic. Like, that was always it, because it seems like I just wasn't getting enough in me for exciting events. Like, I don't know, you don't really want to eat when you're excited. And I know that has a trigger. Like, that has something to do with it. But really, that's not it, which I have found out through living more life. But so, like, this lady behind me was like, here's a croissant, like, you know, giving it to me on the floor, and I'm, like, putting it in my mouth, and I don't have any saliva, and it's like I can't have it. I need, like, juice. I need something quick, and there was nothing there. And then they wanted to, like, get a stretcher out, and I'm like, no, like, I'm so embarrassed. And the emotional aspect during a panic attack, it is so emotional that I don't think I've ever had a panic attack and not, like, hysterically cried, because it's like you want to express these things that you're feeling, but it's, like, already happening. So you can't really find the words because you're already, like, in too deep. And I ended up, like, getting taken out of the crowd, and then I was like, Mom, go, like, listen to the song, and she wouldn't leave me, and I felt bad. But I do want to say, like, when I get, like, that was, like, my biggest one, because it was so public. I had, like, a whole circle around me, so it's mortifying. And people look at you like, what's going on? And truly, I'm fine. I'm just having a panic attack, and I'm not thinking panic thoughts. I'm not thinking, like, there's too many people here, I don't like it. I'm thinking, like, yay, like, they're coming out on stage, and that's where it's so blindsiding, is that my body is like, no, you are going to fight, like, you're in danger. So that one changed my entire life. That really changed my entire life. I had, like, a full-blown phobia of it happening everywhere I go. So after that, I started getting, which I did as a child, blood work. And during my blood work, I had to fast, and I had a panic attack. So it was, like, almost good, because I'm, like, doing it in front of a doctor, and, like, the whole reason I'm doing this is that I'm, like, fainting. But, like, I'm white as a ghost. It's like, it's the most burning hot feeling in your face, and then you just have, like, no awareness of your surroundings. Like, you're, like, on drugs, I guess, but you're not. All my blood work has always come out really good, and that upsets me. Like, I want them to find something. I then got a job as a daycare teacher, assistant, when I was, like, 16 or 15 or 16. And I was so excited because I was, like, I babysat for a long time. This is, like, since 12. This is my first job. And I woke up and I was excited, and as soon as I, like, ate breakfast and was, like, about to go, I started having a panic attack. And I was sitting on the floor and, like, laying there and, like, just waiting for it to pass. And then what people don't realize is, like, similar to people with seizures, is it takes such a mental toll on your body that you need, like, 2 days to recover. It's like a hangover. Like, your body is literally giving out on you and about to faint. So I'm using every strength I have to not faint. And then that takes a lot of mental energy out of you. And I was so upset. And I was so disappointed in myself because I'm excited for this job. Like, why does this happen to me? Remy, not right now. So I ended up, I went. And it's like, to anyone else, it's like this little girl's first day of working. And at the end of the day, like, you have no idea what I went through that morning, and that I'm petrified of it happening in front of the children or like at work. And then it's like, well, she can't work here. Third time getting up this video. Hold on, I'm taking the rubber duck. If you're still watching, thank you for bearing with me. So, I did also work at Kohl's before this. I'm just realizing that I was okay in, like, the interview. But, like, standing in, like, they hired me to, like, fold clothes and stuff, and then they wanted me as a cashier right away. And I didn't want to be a cashier. That's what I got hired as. So, I hated it because I was in a little box, and you only got a 15-minute break if you worked over 6.5 hours. So they would always give me like 6 hours, and I would only get a 15-minute break. And for me, like, standing in one spot is very anxiety provoking because I like to, like, pace. I like to, like, move my body, and I'm also not eating. And I need, like, I'm hypoglycemic. I need food often. I didn't know that then, but I knew. Like, I have always put work so serious, and I cared so much about what my bosses thought of me. And I remember I worked there for like 2.5 years, and during one of my transactions, I had like, I don't know, like an 8 or 9 hour shift, and like I couldn't stand there anymore, and I was just really, really dealing with anxiety. But I hit it so well. Like, I'd like, hi, how are you, to every customer. And I remember, like, my 15-minute break was scheduled at a certain time, and then my manager was like, we're going to have to move that for, like, another hour. Like, someone didn't come in for work or something. And this, like, it set me off. So, in the middle of a transaction, I am literally, like, scanning someone's clothes. And I felt the panic attack happening. And I already was like, hi, how are you? Like, do you have a Kohl's card? And then I just, there's no way. I was either going to, like, faint in the little box or, like, sprint for my life and go to the break room. So I, like, yelled out my manager. I'm like, I don't feel good. And I, in the middle of the transaction, like, ran so far. And I went to the break room, and, like, that's where a lot of self-hatred happens. You know, I do say, like, I love myself, but when you are a young girl, and, you know, I took work very seriously, I still do, and you don't understand, like, how to speak up for yourself, or, like, you know, telling your boss, like, no, you know, I'm really not feeling like I need food. I can't wait another hour. That's not who I was. You know, I'm just like a 16-year-old girl who wants to be nice to her boss. And it's those characteristics that lead me to those moments because, like, I know my body. Like, I know I was starting to, like, not feel energetic and, like, lose my pump. And I just... It was like a recipe for disaster. And I remember going to the break room, and I remember, like, putting my head down and, like, thinking, like, I was going to faint. And it's like, who's going to be there for you? There's all these, like, holiday temporary people. Nobody cares. And the person that was in the break room, I was like, I, like, really don't feel good. And she's like, same. She's like, I'm so done with this place. And it's like, no, You're not taking me serious. I'm about to faint. And then right after that, they asked me to do a 12-hour shift for Black Friday. And I remember crying to my parents, like, what do I do? Like, I can't work 12 hours. Like, I can't do it. And my dad was like, it's just a job. Like, it's just Kohl's. You don't need to stay there. And I was like, no, I do. Like, I couldn't get it in my head that, like, you don't need to impress these people. And I liked the pride of, like, having my job. So to me, it was like, do I put myself through this and, like, push myself when I recently couldn't even get through, like, an 8.5-hour shift standing in a box? And I ended up just, like, telling them I couldn't do it and you're not allowed to not do Black Friday. And I just stopped working there. Like, we mutually said, like, this isn't going to work then. All because I couldn't do Black Friday. And I just want to pause and say, like, I think it's really hard for me to understand that, like, there's so many levels of the radio station I talk about that it really upsets me that there are people that experience this like I do, and they also hide it. I'm sure there's even worse versions. If you've ever been depressed, you know, like, when you're depressed, life sucks. Bad. And then when you're, like, feeling better, it's like you kind of forget that, like, other people are just walking around feeling like that all the time. So, you know, I kind of feel like you internalize how you're feeling, and, like, if you're, like, in a good mood or, like, you just feel good, you just almost assume everyone's on that same page. And life's not like that. Everyone has their own things going on in their head, and what is in your head is so powerful. And I try and tell myself, like, I am so much more powerful than what is happening around my surroundings. Like, this brain is so powerful that I am not going to let my environment, like, succumb to me having a panic attack. And that's really helped me. I live alone. I've been living alone for like 3.5 years. It sounds silly, but I am obsessed with Lana Del Rey ever since I was in Delhi. So since 2013, I mean, she is my idol. If you ever hear Lana Del Rey, know that I've sang that song 500 times. And I don't think anything will ever change that. I've never felt that way about an artist. So I had this dream like a year or two ago where I met her. And I literally woke up from the dream and, like, stood up to get water, and I had, like, a 45-minute panic attack in my kitchen. Like, I laid there paralyzed. The dream definitely set me off, like, the anxiousness and nervousness to meet her, and I have very vivid dreams. The excitement to meet her just set me off, and it wasn't real. And I couldn't grab my phone. I mean, it's like 3 a.m. What was I even going to do? But to even, like, call my mom or dad, because I can't get up. I actually cannot get up. So I just laid on my my kitchen floor for almost an hour. And that's where it's scary. Like, I could be dying, and there's nothing I can do. I cannot get up. So I just have to wait and wait until it's over. And I've really only fainted one time. But every single time it feels like you are in the process of fainting. And it's really, 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 really hard to get out of. Sometimes it's like, well, you just have to let it run its course. It's already happening. It's going on right now. And it could be like a 20-minute panic attack, or it could be like an hour. So you have to just wait. When my brother was in Boston for Boston Architectural College, we visited, and the whole weekend I just kept getting panic attacks. Like, I wanted to explore the city. I've been back since, so I do really love Boston, but, like, I know that, like, at one point on, like, Sunday, the last day there, because I kept having panic attacks when we were walking around the city, my parents, like, went to go do something, and, like, they didn't invite me, and I was like, again, that's where the self-hatred comes. Like, I can't handle it because this whole trip I keep having panic attacks, so now they're going out without me, which I'm not upset about. It's just like in those moments, you have nothing but hatred for yourself because you're like, this isn't me. It's not me, but it is me because it's my brain and it sucks. So I also remember having a panic attack when my friend from college was over and we were in the hot tub at my house. And I went inside to use the bathroom, and then I was having a panic attack. So my mom's downstairs in the kitchen. She has no idea that I'm laying on the floor, and I'm pale as a ghost, and I can't scream out. I can't do anything. My friend doesn't know. They're in the hot tub, and I'm like lifeless on the floor. So it's like, I don't need to tell you guys every single situation because this is full of more times. But I do want to say that there is a correlation. There's a correlation between subconsciously feeling safe, having excitement, and also my eating. So if I don't like eat enough, or if I feel like I ate and then a lot of time went by, it was more common. So those are my personal, like, big ones in my head that I really experienced. The worst one I had ever was August 3rd, 2024. And that was my friend Alex wanted to go out to Billy Joe's, and I didn't want to go. I was like so tired. And then she's like, let's go. And I was like, fine. And I just wasn't in the mood. And I had like a sip of alcohol because the whole night was just like, I'm not into it. I don't know why. And I forced myself. Like, I forced myself to wait in line for a long time to get in. I forced myself to enjoy it. Like, get a drink, dance. Didn't want to dance, didn't want to drink. And then we got an Uber, and I had a panic attack right in front of the Uber, and I physically couldn't walk in it. And then, she basically carried me into it, and that one was the worst one I've ever had in my entire life. It lasted the longest. Even being brought up the stairs, I was in and out of consciousness. I was, positive I was gonna crap my pants in the Uber. And it takes a lot to not do that when you're having a panic attack. And I remember just losing my vision multiple times. And that one took so much out of me. So that's just what I experience when I go through a panic attack. I am going to make another video of some of the routes I went through in getting help. So thank you for listening, and if anyone has had any similar experiences, I'd love to know, because this is something I've always felt very alone in, and I know that through the internet and things that people have different levels of anxiety, and a panic attack to you is completely different to me, but I think talking to people with similarities is the coolest thing in life. So thank you if you have been listening and care, because it shows you care about me and you're interested in me and this channel. But I do want to talk about, I keep saying this, but how did I get here? How am I better? So stay tuned.